Alright, I already got the top off and I've already found a problem. Listen to this power supply when I plug it in. So let's check capacitors. I wonder which ones are crusty. You think it's that one and that one? Let's see if they're leaky because they look corroded. Oh, we got a fresh one. Look at that. Look at that, and that telltale fishy odor. It reminds me of the camcorder we had as a kid. Look at that. Oh, focus, you little fresh. Oh man, I think these just leaked. I think when I plugged this in, they all just gushed. They were just so turned on. Wow. Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't have a 680 kicking around. Funny enough that measures okay. It's just the ESR and the V-loss is so bad, other than all the juices that it spewed. And yes, this is a new cheap M tester. I stupidly wasn't paying attention and tried to test a charge capacitor. And these have no protection to that poor little Atmel chip, and yeah, oops. The more I dig, the worse this gets. All that sort of dark green, the electrolytic juice, I guess it's been there for a lot longer than I thought, got underneath the conformal coating and is just eating away at some traces. Like this trace is pretty much gone right at that pad there. So I'm just scraping and cleaning with alcohol. But yeah, this is like, wow, is this bad? And I don't have the cap that leaked. I'm cleaning it with a toothbrush and alcohol and kind of wiping it up, but unless I put this in something to clean it, like an ultrasonic cleaner, or took every component off and cleaned underneath, I'm never going to get all of this. This is just nasty. 4 Elna capacitors. That little one and these, and you can just see how shiny they are on top. I didn't have 2 of the values. Also, the pad that's bad. I did a nasty little bodge wire there. So I doubled up some for a 220 plus 1000 for 1200, and a 220 plus 470 for a 680. The 470 and the 120 I had. Now, you can still see some sheen on the board. I have scrubbed this thing. I have cleaned it. I have gone through again and again. I have pulled as much of the electrolytic juice off of this board that I can. I cleaned off all the conformal coating that seemed to be bubbling off. Look at the pitting on those traces. They all meter good. Like, they all meter good, actually. Even this one, the only problem with it is I couldn't really get solder to reliably stick to what was left of the pad. But it metered fine. So, if I do get this working, I don't know how long it will last. But I really want to see it working, so let's see if this did it. Still no luck. Take a look at that D15. See that pad that looks like a cold solder? That might be shorted. So I started checking for shorts on capacitors, and I noticed that C36 had a short, and doesn't really have much connected to it here. If I go down, that wire just goes to a pin on this connector, which I disconnected. This goes to that regulator board. So I'm metering across the diode, and of course these are all in parallel, and I'm going to remove this because it's got that cold solder joint on it, and I'm wondering if it may have shorted. Put the power supply into protect mode. Yes sir, that little diode is very much shorted. Now the question is, do I have a Zener kicking around? RD15E6, is that like 15 volts it's clamping or something? It goes to what I believe was 12 volts. Let's see, this Goes down, down, 12.8. Okay, RD15E appears to be a Zener diode. So this is the data sheet of the ranges. So it's a 500 milliwatt DHD. I don't know what DHD. Oh, double heatsink diode. Yep, that's a diode. And then if I scroll down to RD15E, you can see there's the min-max for the Zener voltage. It's clamping around, yeah, thereabouts 15 volts. So I guess I gotta order one. I don't think I have a 15 volt Zener diode kicking around. The good news is the power supply turns on and it doesn't go into protect mode anymore, which is good. I'm going to check the voltages. Bad news is I haven't put the replacement Zener diode in there because I don't have one and I have to order it, and shipping is $8. So now I have to go through my parts to see what other parts I want to order to justify spending $8. So I'll see you when I get that all sorted.
3 days later.
Hey, look, a diode. So yeah, these are the 15 volt 500 milliwatt Zener diodes that are the equivalent of the one that's inside here. Finally came in. Oh, look at that poor board. So let's pop a Zener in and see what it does. Moment of truth. Holy crap, it's on! It's on! Power. Holy, what? Okay, that is flipping cool. Looks like all the functions seem to work. Standard JVC display. But let's just take a moment to appreciate this loading drawer again. Again, but from the top. Oh. So before I get too excited. Oh, okay. The display works. The blue screen, that's good. So how does this work? That just... Oh, what? Oh. Oh. Hey, that's not nothing. Where's my problem lie? Ooh, that tension's way too high. There we go. What? What? Did we just pop in? Oh, that's delightful. Also, is this a 4-head? I thought this was a 2-head when I looked at it. Maybe I was wrong. Oh, that's really dark. Is that the machine or is that just this TV? It's a dark scene in the movie. Blah, 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 blah. No, that's kind of dark. It's almost acting like, what's it called? Macrovision. Even that kind of seems a little dark. Hold up. Not sure how well that's coming off on the camera, but there is some noise. A little bit of noise on this. Is not a clean picture, so there's probably some further capacitors that need to be dealt with, but...
Changing clothing. Stranger.
Yeah, that looks a little dim. Nope, I'm not even going to go any further. I smell more fishy smell from the power supply. So that was enough to get it going, but I think I'm going to have to go and check every capacitor. I thought I did. Maybe I only checked the ones that seemed suspect. Anyway, time for a full recap, and I will meet you back here. Well, I found a few more capacitors that had leaked. I've checked all of them. Replaced anything that was even slightly suspicious. And, I mean, it's pretty good. There's still some noise. It could just be the cable I'm using, or all the noise in here. Otherwise, it seems to be working just great.
What have we here?
Do a rewind. Oh, that's pause. Weird. Let's try that again. There we go. Do a stop. So, yeah, menu. Oh, the menu's brown. Oh, are we getting this here? The menu's brown. Blue, brown. Program, select. That's weird. So, yeah, you've got all the usual buttons on here. I guess M is repeat. Display's fairly bright. It actually it's brighter on camera than it is in real life. So that's neat. This shows what type of tape's in there. Digital tracking, video stabilizer. I'm assuming there's a switch on here. Oh, button. Okay, so if I hit play.
Dick. Oh, funny boy. What have we here?
Off, on,
Looks like heroin, Gene.
off.
Hey.
Yeah, I should probably stop using this movie. For the copyright polizia. Oh, this will automatically determine. Oh, and it's got the speeds for either TC or T. Neat that it's got auto by this point. RCU code, I don't know what that is. Maybe remote or something. Display. Okay. What else we got? SP-EP for recording. RF modulator. Yeah, I mean, that's about it. And the fishy smell is dissipated. Either that or I'm used to it. This is a JVC model HR-FC100U. It is a VHS and VHS-C VCR from sometime in the early 90s. I found a brochure from another country with a similar model from 1991. This one, however, seems to have some dates. I think it's 1994 it's got on the head. This could be a replacement head, but it's got a date of 1994. It could also be that this model was just made for quite a few years. It's very unique. I can't see JVC going and releasing a new model year for something so specific when this, you know, serves a purpose, right? Anyway, early 90s. It has a really nice aesthetic to the front of it. Let me power it on here. It's got these nice green LEDs to show digital tracking. It's got an indicator of what tape's inside. Right now there's no tapes, so they're both lit. Video stabilizer is the same as the newer JVCs. This actually does work on some of the tapes I've been trying in here. I was getting some flagging at the top, and this fixed it. So yeah, it is not just marketing bull. A nice amber VFD. Your transport controls, including open and close, and the IR sensor for the remote. We'll get to this in a second. And then a push open door for the rest of the controls. And this looks very early 90s JVC. This is when we're getting into the usual stuff. Door has a good weight to it. Feels very nice. And they were smart enough to know that people may break this door off and you want to still have your logo, your branding on it. So it's got it there, it's got it there. Nice. Picture sharpness, the tape remain counter, which will be T120 or TC20, and T160 or TC30, depending on if it's a VHS or VHS-C. But it also has auto, which is kind of interesting. And I'm wondering how it does that. Maybe it counts the tracking pulses and then formulates based on the speed, the tracking pulses, and the tape spool speeds or something. Anyway, these have multiple functions: cancel, repeat, counter memory, add, channel skip, counter reset, RCU mode. I think that's remote commander unit. So I think you can set custom codes. Sony had this, Hitachi had this, where you'd have like VCR1, VCR2. If you have multiple of these machines, you can set them to different remote codes so you wouldn't control both by mistake. Menu with manual tracking. Display. So the menu controls here, timer for setting timer, one-touch record and regular record, the speed control, which of course it's JVC, so you only get 2. RF modulator, the video stabilizer, which I can't turn on because there's no tape playing. Channel controls. I already started a channel scan there. Yeah, so let's get to the good bit. Let's open the tape drawer. So check this out. It's got this beautiful little sort of like brushed metal front on here. Get some focus on that. VHS-C compatible. And it's got this little mechanism you sit the tape down in. If I push this, I think it closes. Yeah. And you can fit the larger VHS tape, and I think it automatically closes when you push this down. Or you can put a VHS-C tape. Was there a switch for the VHS-C to close it? No? Okay. I have some unused, still wrapped VHS-C tapes, but I don't have any ones with recordings on them, so I will be able to test this out. And as far as the rest of the machine's concerned, it's a JVC. There's not a lot of belts in it. I haven't even taken the bottom off yet because it's just, the mechanism is just working. But there's one belt back there for loading. And that's it. It's a 4-head dual azimuth. It's got the little spinny thing that the JVC's had, I guess for stabilizing the tape or something. It is mono, so it's not hi-fi, unfortunately, which is such a shame because this could be a killer machine. This could be an absolute gem if it was hi-fi. It would do everything. As it stands, I guess it's good for digitizing home movies if you can't find a VHS-C adapter that hasn't had battery corrosion, as 12-volt vids has shown. But the fact that it's not hi-fi really limits its use. I mean, if you're digitizing old tapes or even watching movies, hi-fi just makes all the difference in the world. Let's put a tape in. So what you do is you sort of slide the tape in, it sits like that, and you just go. Now it says there's a VHS tape in. It should autoplay because that was a pre-recorded movie. And there we go. We're playing a pre-recorded movie. It's got the beautiful dual azimuth. Oh, that sounds horrible. Is that the... That might be the tape. Yeah, it's probably coming from the cassette. Some of these old movies squeak. It's got excellent picture. Like perfect still image pause on SP and EP. Very clean fast forward and rewind scan. The pause switch, or the pause button, also works as a frame advance button. Just exactly what you'd expect from, you know, late 80s, early 90s JVC units. Okay, so that's interesting. Did you see how it kind of got dim there? I have been noticing that it's kind of dim sometimes. Like it feels like it's dimmer than it should be on these movies, but it's hard to tell. I hooked it up to the CRT and it looked just fine. Maybe a little bit of noise, but that could have just been the cable that I was using. But this seems a little dim to me. Let me grab an EP tape. And this has this half load that JVC did. So this really does make it seem early 90s. In order to have a linear tape counter, the tape must be loaded to this head, which counts the tracking pulses. This does linear audio, and it does tracking pulses, and it's got a little linear audio erase head in there as well. So if you want to use a linear tape counter, the tape needs to be loaded all the time. Otherwise, when you do fast forward and rewind, and every time you hit stop, you're going to lose track of where the tape was. So this tape needs to be loaded to the head all the time. Well, that's no problem on a Betamax because they always loaded the tape all the time. But VHS, the original machines, unload it whenever they're not playing. So that's a problem. You can't have a linear tape counter. So this was sort of a solution that JVC came up with, where it would always load to the linear head. And let's hit fast forward here. And then every time you would use any features like fast forward, rewind, or play, it would fully load. I don't understand why, because I'm fast forwarding and it's fully loaded to the video head. So you're not saving on any wear. It's still doing its thing. If I hit stop, now it's loaded. If I hit rewind, maybe does it unload when it goes into a faster speed? Let's see, that was near the end of the tape, so I'm rewinding. Will it unload? No. So what the heck's the point of that? Anyway, that's that weird half load thing. I thought that it would stay half loaded unless it was in play mode. But this is proving me wrong, so I don't know what the hell that is. Anyway, let's hit play. It's got the nice little matrix display there. Some audio.
Howard Zuckerman's on the bus.
Thank you.
Absolutely perfect in EP. If I hit play here and just do a scan. Perfect, perfect, perfect.
Not getting anywhere?
Decent sound too. Decent picture. Like it's a JVC. These always impress me with their performance. But there is an issue. There's always an issue. And I discovered this when I went, okay, I'm going to need to record on this because I don't have any other means of recording a VHS-C tape. I did have a VHS-C camera that I was going to show off, and I tried repairing it and absolutely destroyed it and the tape, and we won't talk about that ever again. So this is all I have to record on it. But how well does it record? So before we record, let's scan in all the channels. I'm going to hit menu. Now, what's cool is this has different colors. So if I go clock set, it goes back to blue. But if I go down to, say, like tuner set, it goes to like a teal green. I think I had a Toshiba, the one that had the calendar on it, that also had these colors. Must have been like a popular at the time. So we can set the band to, yep, TV, not cable. Menu to end, and then auto channel set. And this should go through and start scanning all the channels very slowly. This is the door flap here. Is that? It's just worn, I guess, from this mechanism coming out. It's a little ribbon cable here for the LEDs, and there's a noisy spring. And if you didn't watch the first bit about repairing this power supply had suffered a catastrophic capacitor leakage. There was lots of that fishy smelling corrosive liquid all over this board. I had to desolder and remove and clean underneath quite a few components. And I went through a lot of Q-tips, a lot of rubbing alcohol to clean this up. And it got underneath this conformal coating to the point where the conformal coating was just scraping off, and the copper trace underneath was sort of pitted and damaged. Now, luckily, all the copper traces were good. There was only one I had to replace with a bodge wire, and that's because the pad was just gone. That was one of the leakiest capacitors. I replaced, I believe, five or six bad caps and one Zener diode. And that brought this thing to life. So, kind of par for the course with these old machines, especially of a certain era. The power supplies, Panasonic was like this too. Scan complete. Seamless cut where I went and deleted a bunch of channels that it added that didn't have anything on them. So the auto channel add is fairly sensitive for weak stations, but it added everything nicely. I love using these old tuners. They're just satisfying to use. But it has all the stations. It's a very strong tuner, very good picture, very clear, brings in everything nice and strong. So awesome. It's exactly what I would expect from this era of JVC. I say that because when you got into the late 90s and 2000s, my opinion of JVC fell substantially. I bought a lot of well, I didn't buy a lot, but I bought some JVC stuff, at least in the early 2000s, that was just trash. I think their D-series TVs were pretty decent. They were cheap, though. A lot of people I know bought the D-series TVs, you know, those silver speakers on the side, 27-inch and 32-inch TVs, because they were the cheapest brand name TV you could buy. JVCs were the cheapest, but they were decent. My biggest complaint was that all of those JVC D-series had horrible calibration. It's like they saved money on the calibration. They had non-existent greens, oversaturated reds. It was all over the place. The grayscale sucked. Not only on the one that I ended up buying, but on friends' TVs as well. And I ended up using that Avia DVD, that home theater calibration DVD. It's got all the test patterns and stuff like that, plus the service menu, to make my JVC D-series TV look fantastic. And I was very happy with the picture. Like, I would put it on par with the Sony Trinitrons of the time in terms of brightness and color reproduction, properly calibrated. From the store, or I guess from the factory, crap. But I was one of those sort of picky kids, or teenager I guess at the time, who always tweaked the settings to get it just right.
The factory tent setting is always too high! My tent setting is always too high.
Anyway, all that rambling, let's record something. I think there's news on, so we'll go to CBC. And I have it set to EP, so it's weird how it shows the date on the front here. You think it would show the counter, not the date. I can't actually remember the last VCR I saw that showed the date on the front. When I hit display, it'll switch between counter, remain, and date. Unfortunately, it forces the display on the screen now. I don't know how to get rid of that. Is there like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe cancel? Nope, no idea. Oh, cancel this counter reset. Crap. Now to show you why I'm so sad.
Protesters have remained at the site despite a city order to leave. Now, to tell us more about what happens next...
You know what? This
CBC
actually doesn't look
Cameron
too
Plain
bad, but
joins
see
us
this?
live in the
See
newsroom.
these
And
black
Cam, what
dropouts
do we
here?
know
These
about
little
this
lines?
court injunction?
Turn the volume down. That can be the sign of a worn out or weak head. And usually you'll see symptoms of a worn out head when you're recording before they show up when you're playing. And what this is telling me is that it could be that this video head is just on the edge of being worn out, which is very unfortunate. I guess it's a DA4 head JVC, so I could probably find replacements, but you look at all these dropouts on the high contrast areas here. It's usually on the edge of like a high contrast. It's probably the video head. It might not be. I mean, there were bad capacitors in the power supply. There could also be bad capacitors in the video head circuitry or somewhere in the recording. So that's always possible. But there's a very good chance it's coming from this. Oh, it just switched over to SP. But you can see the problem remains. So my only means to record on VHS-C is going to be, it's not the worst, but oh yeah, no, it is pretty bad. When you get into the high contrast stuff, it just gets real bad. That's a shame. Ooh, I will show on this old recording here. So this was recorded on, I don't even know, some VCR I was demonstrating a while ago. So like look at that glitching at the top there. Pretty bad, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go and turn video stabilizer on. Perfect. Off. On. Off. Look at that wobble. It's actually worse in real life. I think this is... Oh yeah, there we go. When I pull back, the camera seems to show it a little bit better. This is more accurate to what I'm seeing. Good. Bad. Good. So, it appears to be a fairly useful feature. I don't even remember what machine recorded this, but... Oh, was this that Sharp that also had a motorized drawer? It might have been. That thing was a piece of crap. Anyway, I guess the last thing to do is pop a VHS-C cassette in this and see what it does. Now, I don't have any VHS-C cassettes that have anything recorded on them because my family was a Video 8 family. So, I'm going to have to use a fresh tape. Oh, what? There's more? There it is. Brand new, unused. Very tiny. Such a wacky idea. It's got a regular reel on one side and it's got that gear on the other. So, it's in. I guess I have to manually hit close. Oh, that's delightful. Oh, what? Why did you play? That's not... Am I able to record on it? Maybe the record... The VHS-C probably had a record tab, so let's see. Yeah, or a record slider switch, if I recall. Probably that little green thing here. Oh yeah, record. No, record's on. Let's see if that does anything. And close. What the shit? So that's the regular record switch there, record tab switch, which obviously is nowhere near the VHS-C cassette. So there's going to be another one that maybe would normally be in the middle of a regular VHS cassette. Oh, hold on, let's see here. Maybe it's that black thing. Yeah, check this out. This is the VHS-C record tab switch, and it gets pushed down by the VHS cassette. It's got a little switch here, and there's not a lot of light on it, but as you can see, it's being pushed back. So something in this is not sitting right. It's seeing a record tab. Oh wait, no, wouldn't that mean it's always seeing the record tab? As expected, just a toothed belt. No traditional rubber ones. Appears that this is the switch for the record tab on the VHS-C cassette, and this is the switch for the regular sized VHS cassette. You can see they both run to the same traces, just albeit a little bit of a complicated way, kind of cross over each other, weirdly. And because they're both in parallel, that would tell me that shorting this, it would be like having the record tab in, because when the cassette goes in, it pushes the switch if there's a record tab, which would close this one or this one. So I could temporarily short one of these. Alright, I would like to register a complaint. I should not have to desolder every little connection to every little switch and sensor to get this board out. I could tell which ones I had to desolder because someone had done it before when the last time this thing was serviced. Probably by these guys. So yeah, all that work just to be able to get at that little switch. And after all that, it still won't come out. It looks like you have to remove this whole white plastic shroud around here to pull this out from the bottom. Yeah, I've changed my mind. This board's gone back in. I've resoldered all the connections. This one, this one, this one, this one, and this one that were easy to find because they were already the ones that were touched. Look at how close this is to this toothed belt. You have to pull this dang belt off, do all this stuff. This little arm here gets in the way. Ah. All right. Pop that in. I think if I just... Nope. Okay. That's more like it. Now I can record on everything, whether I should or not. Now I just need to find something that I can record. Is that a commercial? Oh, it looks like a TV show. If it's a TV show, I shouldn't record it. Let's just go up to... Here we go. So we'll set you to SP and we will record. Okay, so it's set to auto, and if I go to taper main by hitting the display, $23 Wait, 23 minutes? Shouldn't it be 30? Because this is a TC30. I played a little bit, but I don't know. Anyway, 22. Oh, you liar! Is this a 20-minute tape? Was I mistaken here? Where would it say that? No. TC30. Anyway, I guess that's maybe on the conservative side in terms of remaining. Now if I hit EP, yeah, there we go. Just shy of 90 minutes, exactly what I would expect. Let's see how this works out. Let's see how it looks. I mean, I kind of know what to expect with this. Alright. Should get something any second now. I think this is when it kept playing when the record switch wasn't working. So we will just wait. There it is. Oh my god, that's horrible. I wonder if a capacitor is failing. That's just hideous. Audio, I'm not expecting much. The music playing on this is actually recovered off an old Muzak style tape, so... But look at those dropouts. Holy hell. Man, that almost looks worse than it... Well, I guess that kind of makes sense. I was saying that usually you see these dropouts in high contrast situations, and this entire channel is just high contrast, right? It's white text on a darker background with some black shading around it. Oh boy. So what's interesting is, oh, no, that's EP. And I'm still getting dropouts. So here's what makes me think that this isn't a video head issue. This is a 4-head machine. It's going to be using 2 heads for recording EP and 2 other ones for recording SP. Yeah, see, audio still sucks even on the other speed. Oh yeah, look at that. But the dropouts seem fairly consistent. It almost seems like the signal going from the amplifier to the head when you record is weak. And the problem exists there because, you know, if I hit pause, oh boy, video stabilizer help? Maybe not. Okay. So I've got dropouts. Like, I've got dropouts no matter what. And in my experience, usually when you hit frame advance on a DA4, it'll pick whichever is the cleanest and go between fields. So if I'm understanding this right, I should be using different heads sometimes when I hit forward advance or frame advance. I shouldn't be seeing the same consistently bad picture throughout. And especially not if I go to SP. No, actually, oh no, wait, no, it's bad. It's just the camera seems to be hiding it. Oh yeah. Anyway, I think at this point I'm probably going to park this machine. I don't plan to record with it. The playback seems fine. It really does seem like it's something in the recording circuitry. Playback's good on both speeds. I didn't see any dropouts. And the dropouts seem fairly consistent on recording, which to me says that there's something in this video preamp that's not working correctly. This is that board I was just pointing at, the preamp / record whatever board. So here's your 4 video heads, and they all go to this video preamp IC. So something in here in general, maybe the signal coming from, well no, because if the signal coming into this was too low, this should up the gain to a point. It doesn't seem like the video signal itself is too low. It's the strength of the signal being applied to the tape is too low. That's when we're seeing those dropouts. If the video signal itself was too low, you'd get kind of that dim color and really washed out, weak sort of signal. It would look different to me anyway. That's kind of what I would suspect. And there should be some sort of a gain control, an automatic gain control to make that signal good when it goes onto the tape, because you, depending on what you have plugged in, you could have a long AV cable, you could have a weak channel in the tuners should up the gain and everything, but this should be creating sort of the best case scenario signal to lay onto the tape. And when it goes over to here, you're seeing here, yeah, so this is on the output of that IC, so it's saying we should be seeing 2.6 volts peak to peak going here, which is going to the, it says LP head. I'm assuming that's EP. I wonder if maybe I have like a European schematic, maybe it's slightly different. And then here you have going to SP is a slightly higher signal because it's, you know, it's a wider track that it's laying. I guess there's a stronger signal going into the heads that are required, or that's required. But yeah, that's where I'm going to kind of leave it. If anyone has sort of any ideas, what I would probably end up doing is just blindly going and poking around with an oscilloscope and then probably changing capacitors. But if anyone has any experience with something like this, or maybe thinks I'm headed in the right direction or the wrong direction, you know, let me know. I might want to revisit this and get recording working, but as it stands right now, I really don't need record. I have enough better machines to record. This thing is just a cool novelty. And the ability to play back VHS-C cassettes is pretty handy. I don't have any. I haven't had to digitize any, thankfully. And I don't even know where you'd find one of those VHS to VHS-C cassette adapters anyway. So to have a machine that supports that kicking around, you know, it could be useful. Anyway, thanks for watching.
My setting is always too high.